Alright, what's up everybody? This is going to be the official Overwatch 2 Season 3 tier list for your average players, your average ranks. The average people, at least that are playing the game, and the majority of the players are around mid-tier gold, so it's going to be like your tier list all the way up until like your mid to maybe high-tier platinum games. Not a pro player tier list, not a Masters or GM or top 500 tier list at all, just for your average players. And this is going to be kind of on console as well because I'm a console player, so may be a little bit biased to console, but I'm not saying it won't work or like it's not good for PC as well. Just depends. And it's also 100% opinionated, so if you guys do not agree with me on something, or if I forget to talk about something or add something, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys like these videos, leave a like, subscribe, share the video. Let's get right into this. SS tier is going to be stuff that needs to be nerfed to the ground, the stuff that you're going to be picking every game. Either brain dead or you just pick it and pretty much automatically win most of the time. Either takes no skill or they're way giga buffed or way broken for an obvious reason. S tier is your stuff that's really incredibly good. I wouldn't say it's like incredibly like instant win worthy, but like it's the other stuff that's pretty much like the other best stuff in the game that isn't like the stuff that needs to be like giga nerfed or just like brain dead type broken. A tier is average, B is kind of below average, C tier is your more situational stuff, D tier is your borderline almost useless heroes that are only good in maybe like a few specific maps or with like a few specific matchups or whatever, otherwise they're pretty much just garbage and you're just asking to lose. And then you got F tier, which is the worst hero in the game, and if you want to play anything in F tier, you're just pretty much throwing, so. Apart from that, let's hop right into this. Overall, at least with the balance, I think Overwatch would be a great game, and I actually think Season 3 is a great start to the game. There's a lot of stuff, at least quality of life changes and little like minor tweaks and stuff to the game, at least with the launch of Season 3 that has made the game better. But the one thing that actually is holding this game back and will probably forever hold Overwatch back is the god-awful balance. And you guys will see that once we get through this tier list. I really don't know who's still balancing this game and how they're still allowed to be paid to balance the game when they are giving us legit some of the worst balance I think we've ever had, even worse than Overwatch 1. And Overwatch 1 was bad. And I think the real problem is they just don't know how to balance for 5v5. And they only really know how to balance for 6v6. And they were just first getting to actually be able to balance for 6v6 really well towards the end of Overwatch 1 before they discontinued the game. And I think that's the real problem, so I don't know. I just wish they would just fire and like get rid of everybody that's on the balance team and just have some other people go in there, or they would just quit balancing from the top down. I think another thing that's kind of holding the game back right now is they just aren't balancing. They're balancing for the pro players. The pro players are like the 0.001% of the players. Your average players either play casuals or if they do play ranked, are around your average like middle tier gold player is like your average players. Even like higher tier silver, somewhere around there is like your average player. I think they need to start balancing this game more for the average players and less for the pro players. I think that would be a good way to actually balance the game as well. I think they're balancing it too much for the pro players and just ruining everything, and that they just can't get a grasp on the game. They just don't know what to do because they're trying to cater to the pro players, but at the same time they're trying to cater to the people that are like your average players, and just ain't working. You got to do it for one or the other, and you're better off doing it for the majority. No more top-down balancing, and you got to balance from the middle down, from like your average players and from the majority. Balance for the majority and not for the minority. I think that's what they need to do going forward. I say it every single time I do a tier list or I talk about the balance of Overwatch, and nothing ever changes and just keeps getting worse. But there you go. That's what I think right now, at least for the balance of the game with the Season 3 launch. Started out with D.Va. D.Va's B tier. She's a little bit better because Hog is actually the worst hero in the game now, spoiler. But at the same time, all the stuff that actually got buffed this patch just absolutely destroy her. Reaper, Sojourn, Ryan. She can run away from Ryan with her mobility, but if she's just sitting there and she just gets swung on and you can't do shit to him back because he just throws a shield in your face. She gets shit on by a lot of the DPS as well. Sojourn just eats her alive. Reaper eats her alive. She gets marked with Discord, which spoilers Zenyatta is being abused and kind of taking the spot of what Kiriko is kind of being now. Kiriko's kind of fallen a little bit, and Zenyatta's kind of taken over. I don't know. B tier, she's not really unplayable, but she's really difficult to play right now, even with Hog being nerfed. And I think one of the things they didn't take into consideration when they nerfed the absolute shit out of Hog and made him an unplayable hero is that the stuff that he actually checks, it never got changed either, which we're going to find out. They buffed Ball this patch. I think Ball's B tier. I really do. It just comes down to the ball player. If you're a good ball player, then you can make him work, but he did get a bit of a buff to his shield and some of his other stuff, but still nothing crazy. I think Zarya's A tier. In your lower tiers of play, like your bronze through silver, she can just stomp games because people don't know how to play against her. She starts hitting a little bit of a wall once you get into your gold tier games and a little bit higher. But apart from that, I think she's still incredibly good and she can still carry teams. She's just not as good as some of the other tanks right now because she just gets shredded by stuff like Ryan and Doom and a bunch of other shit that's being played. Ashe, average, really solid, just your average hit scan. Nothing with her has really changed at all. Incredibly good. Same with McCree. McCree got some quality of life buffs with his combat role. Didn't really do anything to push him over the edge. He's still average, still pretty damn good. Bastion C tier. I think he's better in your mid to lower tier games than in your higher tier games. He can still be really annoying. He's just mainly more map dependent, and that's the problem. And whatever team you're going against, there's a lot of dive in the game. So if you get dove on, you just kind of get shit on. You got to prepare what you're being paired against and what you're playing against. I think Echo's A tier. The problem with Echo is she will never be good unless Sojourn's nerfed into the ground. And Sojourn being as good as she is for 3 patches in a row now in 3 entire seasons, and them trying to balance her and then just failing miserably, it just doesn't do anything for Echo. Until Sojourn gets nerfed, then she'll never be as good as she can be. Because Sojourn, and Soldier 76 is another check that actually got buffed this patch, which is a huge check to her. For whatever reason, I don't know why they buffed Soldier 76, but that's another thing that got buffed, which also checks her, which makes her even a little bit worse by default. But she's average. If you can play her, you can still get away with her. Genji B tier. This is where Genji should be. Genji should not get any other buffs or any other nerfs for the entirety that he's in the game for the rest of Overwatch 2's lifespan. He is the perfectly balanced right now. He is the most balanced he's ever been right now currently. If they touch Genji again, whoever is on the dev team that's balancing the game needs to be terminated. He is the most balanced he's been for the entirety of the game's lifespan so far. If you think Genji needs to be buffed again, and you think he's weak, maybe it's a skill issue, and maybe you're the problem. Hanzo. B tier. The problem with Hanzo is he just gets dove a bit too easy. That's the problem with him. And if you're playing against tanks right now like Doomfist and Ryan and all this other stuff that's able to just sit there and eat up damage or just dive onto you and kill you, then you can't really do much. Lacks mobility, and apart from running up walls, I guess, but like apart from that, you don't have much mobility, and you just get dove way too easy. Junkrat's actually really good. They slightly nerfed the damage on his concussion grenade. This patch, I think, was 120 down to 100, which he's still incredibly good. Didn't really do anything to him, if I'm being real. I've been playing him a lot, so incredibly good. I wouldn't say he's like nerf worthy, but I think he's probably one of the best characters, at least DPS wise, in the game. The only thing that's really holding him back, I think, from being better is because Sojourn's able to just easily kill him, and that's the real problem. He just gets one tapped by Sojourn by a headshot. So Mei is D tier. They buffed her ult rate 5%, so she gets her ult 5% faster, and that's about all she does. She doesn't do anything. The problem with Mei is she's lost her entire identity. I say it every single patch that I do a tier list for. Ever since she went from Overwatch 1 into Overwatch 2, they completely killed her entire identity with taking away the freeze on her main weapon. Until she gets her freeze back, she's going to be one of the worst characters in the game. Doomfist, SS tier. You know, this is one of the things where I said nerfing Hog into the ground and not changing Doomfist would make him broken, because Hog was one of the main things that was checking Doomfist. What did I say? That Doomfist is busted. Just mainly because his main check got nerfed into the ground is pretty much unviable and unplayable now. And they never gave him any nerfs to actually compensate. Incredibly annoying, and pretty much just runs games if you just let him do whatever he wants. Again, they don't know how to balance the game. Pharah, I'm going to put actually in B tier. Actually, I'm going to put Pharah in A tier because she's really similar to Echo. I think she's a little bit better than Echo, but this is kind of the same thing as Echo. Just take whatever I say with Echo and apply it to Pharah because it's about the same thing. Again, will never be incredibly good just because 76 got buffed for some reason this patch, and Sojourn is the best DPS in the game. And until those two get, I wouldn't say 76 will ever get nerfed again, but like till Sojourn gets reworked or nerfed into the ground, she's never going to be as good as she is. Reaper, SS tier. You know, one small change they did for him this patch is they increased his ult charge rate for whatever reason by 8%. So now all you have to do is they encouraged a playstyle, which already is what he did. It's just running at the enemy team and just running at everybody and trying to farm kills and farm ult charge as fast as possible and just getting kills off your ult. They encourage that more now, and your ult actually charges incredibly fast. Plus you have lifesteal, plus they nerfed Hog. So if anybody wants to nerf Hog, Hog can no longer do anything to you, and you're pretty much get a free kill and pretty much just shit all over him if anybody wants to play Hog versus you. I don't know what to tell you guys. Again, they don't know how to balance the game. They took an already borderline busted character, and they buffed a busted character that was borderline busted already last patch for Season 2. And they made him even better with a more spammable ult. You cannot make this shit up. The worst balanced team on the face of the earth for an FPS game. Sojourn, same thing with Sojourn. How many seasons now? 3 seasons in a row they've tried to nerf her. They've tried to do little minor balance changes with her. Power shifts. Nothing's working. She is still the best DPS and probably the best hero in the entire game. She is the most broken hero Overwatch 2 will ever see. And if it was Overwatch 1, she would probably be a contender for like the most broken hero out of all time as well. But out of Overwatch 2, I think she will go down in history as the most broken character ever released. And she is still the most broken character ever released, no matter what they did. And even with this patch, I don't even think they even touched Sojourn that much as well again. And she's still incredibly good. If you want to nerf Sojourn, you got to nerf her into the absolute ground. Give her the Roadhog treatment. You like to give you. They pretty much nerfed Hog into the ground with this last mini balance patch. Before the Season 3 launch, about a week or two before that launched. Why don't they do the same thing with Sojourn? I don't know. They hate Roadhog, but they don't want to do it for Sojourn for some reason, so what's the difference? Do you guys have some favoritism, or do you guys just not like Roadhog? I don't know. Or do you not know how to balance the game, which I think it's the latter. Soldier 76, I wouldn't say he's busted tier, but like he is fucking incredibly good. Best hit scan in the game by far. They buffed his recoil, so his recoil is 12% smaller. So when you're firing at full with your main weapon, your recoil, you'll have 12% less recoil on your weapon, or like bloom pretty much. I think 8% reduced bloom and like 12% reduced recoil. So you're a lot more accurate and you land way more shots. You get way more ult charge because you're doing way more damage, consistent damage, and your ult's auto-aim ult. That's brain dead. All you need to do is just look at somebody and you can kill them. What more do I need to say? Brain dead. And you have your own heal. You don't even have to rely on your supports half the time. You just plop down your own heal and you can just lock down an area by yourself. Brain dead. I think if Sojourn and some of these tanks get nerfed, I think we're going to see Soldier 76 rise up into like the busted category, SS tier. Sombra got a small mini buff, and she's still one of the worst characters in the game. You know, it's really crazy. She went from being the best character in the game for Season 1 for about 3 weeks, and then they absolutely just fucking gutted her. And they nerfed the absolute shit out of her, and she's never been the same. I feel really bad for anybody that plays the shit out of Sombra and main Sombra. I love Sombra too because she's one of my favorite characters. She's a really fun character to play. I won't say she's one of my favorite characters, but she's really fun to play. It's just too bad because she's borderline unplayable most of the time. And you're pretty much, you're borderline throwing by playing her still. She's just that bad. Symmetra C tier, really situational. She can work and she does shit damage, but it just depends on the map and the team comp. Torbjorn's turret actually got nerfed, but I still think he's really good. A tier, average. Does a lot of damage. Tracer is not that good anymore. I don't know why they nerfed her damage, and then ever since they nerfed her damage back down to 5.5 instead of 6, she just isn't that good. Takes way too much skill to make her work, and then why would you ever play a Tracer when you can just pick Reaper and just run at people and get all your health back and just drop ults every 30 seconds? It just doesn't make sense. Why would you waste skill when you can just play something brain dead and get way more value by just doing pretty much nothing and clicking a couple buttons? They nerfed Widow's health from 200 down to 175. At your lower to mid-tier games, Widow's really hit or miss. I'm going to put her in average, mainly because it depends on the player and the map. If you're a dog shit Widow player, then don't play her, because you're just going to feed, especially now with how little health she has. But if you're like a god tier Widow player and you're like in middle to lower tier games, in your average games, you can carry games. Really hit or miss hero, but like I'm going to put her in A tier just for that sheer fact. On S tier, one of the best supports in the game. Nothing with her has really changed at all. She got a few little balance tweaks, but nothing with her has really changed at all. Junker Queen is actually the biggest balance change I think since like last season. I think when I did the patch or the tier list, I think I had Junker Queen at like an F tier, like a D tier, like really low in the tier list. I think she's average now. And the main reason she's average is just because Roadhog got nerfed into the ground, because one of her main checks was Roadhog. And he's pretty much unplayable now. Apart from that, she's still not really that good. She got a small health buff. I think she got like a extra 100 or 200 health buff, and that's all she got. I still think she needs a little bit more of a damage buff and a little bit more of a sustain buff, and maybe a little bit more ult charge. Give her ult a little bit faster because it takes a long time for her ult to charge. But apart from that, a few little small balance changes. If they can actually balance her smartly and actually don't go giga buffing her or like giga nerfing her at any point, I think she's on the road to being balanced, but it's just whether we get there or not, and if they actually pull their head out of their ass and actually learn how to balance the game, which I don't expect them doing anytime soon. Baptiste, I'm going to put it S tier. Incredibly good. If you know what you're doing with Baptiste, he has pretty much everything you want. He has damage, he has healing, he has survivability, he has a good ult, he has everything you need. Brig got a bit of a buff. I still think she's really bad. She needs her ults entirely reworked, which is not going to be getting reworked until like Season 5, which is going to be like another 5-6 months away. And until that point, the entire game will probably be flipped upside down and turned on its head with how bad they balance the game. And at that point, nobody will even care about Brig, and we'll have like another 3 or 4 new heroes in the game at that point. So I don't know. Too little, too late, and when they do want to change her, it's not fast enough, and nobody cares. Unfortunate, because Brig is a really fun hero to play, but they just don't care about her, and she's got nerfed into the ground with the release of Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2. Kiriko S tier, I don't think she's a must pick, must ban, or like must play anymore. She got nerfed a little bit, and I think she's being kind of outshadowed now because there's a lot of other supports that are kind of on the rise. So you got a lot more options, and that's the only reason why I'm putting her S tier. I don't think she's like a must win, like brain dead support as she was for Season 2. But still one of the best supports in the game. Really, really good. Lucio A tier. Mainly for the speed boost and mainly for the easy heals because it's an AoE and it depends on how you play him. If you're a good Lucio player, you get way more value out of him. If you're just your average player, then you're kind of just average. That's why he's there. Mercy S tier. Now, pretty much what they did with Mercy, for at least balance-wise for this patch, is they nerfed her cooldown on her flight from, I think it was 1.5 up to 2.5 seconds, so she can't really fly to people as fast. And then they nerfed her healing, her base healing, from 55 to 45, but then they made it so you heal 50% more if a target that you're healing is below 50%. And then they gave her an entire reworked passive, so you're constantly healing yourself as long as you're healing somebody else. So pretty much what they did is they tried to nerf Mercy, but in the end, they actually made Mercy better than she actually was. She just has a little bit less spammable mobility, but her healing and her ability to actually buff damage with her blue beam is still probably even better. So again, do they know how to balance the game, or are they just pulling shit out of their ass and just throwing shit at a dartboard and putting it into the game without even testing it? I think Mercy is probably the most easiest to play, highest value support out of the entire game. All you have to do is just click 2 or 3 buttons. Pick an ally, hold down one button the entire game, which is pretty much yellow beam. And then whenever you don't need the heals, you switch to blue beam and pocket your DPS, whoever's doing damage. And then when you need to move around, click one button, float to somebody. That's all you need to do. And when you have an ult, just go in and get an ult, and even as a bonus, you have a revive where you can bring somebody back to life. It's like a cherry on top. Incredibly good. I think the problem with Mercy right now is she's just way too easy to play, and she gets way too much value out of just clicking a couple buttons, and that's the real problem with her. She's too easy to play. She gets way too much easy value. I don't know how they're going to balance her, but I'm not looking forward to what they're going to do, because I have a feeling they might end up giving her like the Roadhog treatment. At the same time, I don't think they will, though, because everybody hates Roadhog for some reason. Everybody loves Mercy as a character, so they have favoritism towards Mercy than over Roadhog, so they probably won't do that and give her like the Roadhog Giga Nerf treatment where they make her like absolutely just unplayable, like they did to Roadhog a couple weeks back. But she might be getting some small nerfs, I don't know. Moira, A tier, average. Nothing with her's changed at all. Zen's S tier, mainly because Damage Orb is crazy now. And mainly because Kiriko isn't good, and pairing the Damage Orb, and plus they buffed his ammo from 20 to 25, so he does more damage by himself now. But mainly pairing the 30% Damage Orb with a Mercy is just incredibly insane. And you're seeing a lot more people pick up Mercy now, especially with stuff like Reinhardt and a bunch of other, like Ramatra and shit like that being played. It just makes them get like another way to actually deal with them. So I don't want to say it's broken right now, but I think as it goes on, I think more and more people are going to play Zen, and you're going to have a lot more Discord Orb spam, and they're going to end up having to nerf Discord Orb, because that's the major problem with them. Reese is S tier. I wouldn't say she's like busted tier, but she's right on the cusp. I think if Ryan didn't get buffed this patch, I think she would have been busted tier, because Ryan can kind of just swing away at her and she can't really do anything. But apart from that, like, I think if Ryan did not get Giga buffed this patch, I think she would have been broken tier. Ramatra's broken tier. They nerfed his ult, so it's not an infinite alteration, but the problem with Ramatra is he just doesn't die. He just doesn't die. The problem with him is he just stands around, he does way too much damage, and he just never dies. He's too survivable. He has a shield, he has a way to block damage, and he can just fucking melt you with how much damage he does at close to medium range. Crazy. And then even if he does have an ult, he just runs at you, and there's no way to really check his ult. Either you run away and you have enough mobility to get out of range, and he can't get you in the duration, or you just sit there and you try to sustain through it and die, or you just try to do damage to him and try to kill him before he kills you, which you never usually do. His ult has really pretty much no checks, apart from just either dying or trying to run away far away enough. Ryan got Giga buffed, probably one of the best tanks in the game now. They reduced the cooldown on his whatever his push is, I don't know, whatever he put his pile driver, it is his pile driver, I just couldn't think of a name for it. Pile driver, and then his Fire Strike got 2 charges. And then they also, I think, if they buffed his health or his shield or something, there was something else, some other small buff they did to him. Crazy. He's crazy. It was his hammer. He swings a little bit more faster. I think he has a little bit less like end lag or something, so he's able to swing and get more damage off faster when he's swinging his hammer. Crazy. Again, Ryan was a character that was actually really balanced all the way up until now, and he needed no balance changes. And then they gave him the Reaper treatment and took a already balanced character. I wouldn't say Reaper was balanced. He was like on the cusp of being broken. But like Ryan was balanced, and they just go and Giga buff him for no reason. I don't know why. Hog's F tier, the most worthless garbage tank in the entire game. Awful. The guy does nothing. The only thing he does is he has decent survivability because he can actually heal himself. Apart from that, he does no damage. His hooks mean nothing unless your team follows up on him, or you're able to pull somebody off the map, which is really, really map situational and game mode situational, depending on what mode you're playing as well. Apart from that, you don't do anything. Your damage is garbage. Your ult is okay. They buffed his ult from 6 to 8 seconds, but even then, it's not really that good. And his ult has a lot of checks, especially with how much CC is in the game and a lot of the other stuff being played. He just doesn't do anything. He just doesn't do anything. He is a tank that you pick, and being somebody that has the majority of my game time on Roadhog, I can genuinely say he is legit unplayable. If you want to lose your games, play Roadhog, because he just doesn't do anything. Even me, like I have an average of 75 to like 95% hook accuracy in the majority of my matches, and I can't even get him to work. I'm at the point where I'm legit like being forced to learn Junker Queen for ranked because he's just so bad. And like learn Diva again. Awful. It's just such a shame. One of my favorite characters that just got completely killed for just because people were complaining that they don't know how to play the game. People that don't know how to play a game that bitch and complain for an entire season, and then the devs listen to them and then gig a nerf a character and completely ruin an entire character. Sigma, I'm going to put S tier, incredibly good. Nothing with him has really changed, though, but he's still incredibly good. And then I'll put Winston. More, I'm going to put him at A tier. Depends what team you're playing against, or what team comp and what map you have. He's good versus certain teams. He's decent with dive. But apart from that, there's a lot of other stuff in the game that can kind of just shit on him right now. So he has to be really, really careful on what he does. Apart from that, that is the entire list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I don't know. I feel like we have like legit half of the entire Overwatch cast is either in S tier or SS tier. The balance right now is awful, y'all. Keep in mind this is 100% opinionated, but at least for me, the balance, I think the balance is just God tier awful. Awful, awful balance. And never did I think I would ever have to put one of my favorite characters in the entire game in F tier. I never thought that time would ever show up. I really don't, but there's always a time for everything, I guess. If people don't know what they're doing and you just keep balancing the game the way it's going, I guess that shit happens when they don't know what they're doing. It's a real shame. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And if there's something I forgot or forgot to talk about, let me know what you guys think of. Put your own list in the comments or whatever. Let me know. If you guys like these tier list videos, leave a like, subscribe, share the video. I got a bunch of other Overwatch stuff on the way as well. Got a bunch of Splatoon 3 stuff on the way. Apex Legends Season 16 stuff on the way. Some stuff with Paladins here with the next Season 6 dropping here in a couple weeks. So if you guys don't want to miss it, subscribe if you're new. Apart from that, I'm going to get out of here. Peace out, everybody.